right there. Right there.
The NFL needs no introduction, and neither does Troy Vincent, former Philadelphia Eagles cornerback turned NFL insider. As executive vice president of football operations in a league of 32 teams valued at $163 billion, Vincent oversees what's most critical to the game, its rules.
Leadership is lonely. Your compromises of today become your standards of tomorrow.
Behind the business of America's sport, football operations is tasked with monitoring policies on the field to protect players without damaging the popularity of the game. And Vincent is doing it at a time when the NFL's coaching and player development are being questioned, even by former quarterback legend Tom Brady. With the NFL's commercial success and growing fan base, there's a reason why it's often hailed as one of the country's greatest unifiers. But there is no NFL without its nearly 1,700 players and Vincent, committed to the athletes and preserving the integrity of the game. Yahoo Finance met with Vincent at the NFL headquarters in New York City to get a closer look at the challenges and rewards of heading the operations of the world's largest sports league.
So Josh, this is where the Art McNally Game Day Central is where I probably spend during the season 98% of my time.
So this is when I hear Aikman, Joe Buck say,
Anytime
it's
you
in
hear
New York.
any announcer, this play is going back to New York or is being reviewed in New York.
Right in here.
This is what they're talking about.
Let's go. One thing's for sure, Vincent is not soft about football, even when running new and at times risky policies to a game loved and watched by millions, with one goal in mind, building on the success of the league by investing in its players. You want policies and procedures on the field that are going to protect players, reduce risk. You also, though, you want to maintain the spirit of the game that Americans love, which is, listen, it's the pace, it's the energy, it's the aggression, right? How do you kind of think about balancing those goals?
So I'm in a unique position from my former years as being on the field. And it's preserving the game that Americans and those who are abroad have come to love. They love points. They love the excitement. They love these memorable moments, while being responsible of protecting players from unnecessary risk. I come from an era where there were things that we did, that I did personally, things I was taught that really have no place in the game.
Such as what, Troy? What's an example?
Like just using a helmet as a weapon, like trying to really inflict harm to your opponent. That was the mentality.
Before joining the executive team, Vincent got his start in the NFL as a first-round pick in the 1992 draft to play with the Miami Dolphins. As a cornerback, he helped the Dolphins reach the AFC Championship game his rookie year. But Vincent really made his mark when he signed with the Philadelphia Eagles, where he made 5 consecutive Pro Bowls. But as Vincent says, football was a different game in his time.
There was an era of football that we grew to love, self-included, that was just, there was a brutality. It was acceptable. Now with science and engineering and research, we've seen it's really about what does life look like? Because a 21 to 22-year-old has no clue of what life looks like or will feel like at the age of 40, 50, or 60. That's our responsibility as legends, as gatekeepers, to protect that player from unnecessary risk.
As Vincent puts it, encouraging player safety while at the same time maintaining the pace and aggression of the game fans love is a careful balancing act. In 2024, the hip drop tackle was banned after the NFL found injury rates were 25 times higher when a tackler wraps a runner, unweights himself, and traps his opponent's legs. Rule changes have left some fans and players concerned that the game has been watered down and is not as exciting as it used to be. According to Sportsbook Review, 82% of fans believe rules and penalties should be changed.
I think there's a lot of mediocrity in today's NFL.
In 2023, former quarterback Tom Brady didn't hold back on voicing his concerns with the direction of the league.
The rules have allowed a lot of bad habits to get into the actual performance of the game.
I respect Tom, and Tom has earned that right to voice his opinion, like others, and they should challenge us, hold us accountable as gatekeepers. In Tom's era, the majority of the quarterbacks weren't dual threats, pocket passers. When you look at the way the rosters, from your Josh Allens to your Patrick Mahomes, your Lamar Jacksons, your Russell Wilsons, these dual threat quarterbacks, your Justin Fields, these individuals, it's a different era in quarterback play.
In the offseason, Vincent and the NFL Competition Committee assessed what changes need to be made for the next season. And on March 26, NFL owners approved a new rule that is turning what was called a dead play into an integral part of the game again: kickoffs. As opposed to a traditional running start, the kicker will kick off from his 35-yard line, and the rest of the kicking team will line up at their opponent's 40-yard line. The play begins when the ball is either caught or hits the ground in the landing zone. The goal? Create an exciting play with higher returns while also reducing injuries.
It's the space and speed. It's when the player has the ability, and our players are now, they're running 18 to 22 miles an hour. When they have that space to build up that kind of speed, and then you make the impact, that's not what we want. We all know as fans, when you have an explosive kickoff play, it changes the atmosphere, not only in the stadium, it changes the momentum of the game. We want to bring those elements back. They should be back.
The new kickoff model will give return opportunities to players with big play potential, and the impact was immediate, with the Pittsburgh Steelers signing a 2-year, $6 million contract for Cordarrelle Patterson, who had a record 9 kickoff return touchdowns during the 2023 season. The new rule even influenced draft day decisions, the lifeline for keeping the league fresh and competitive, with Texas A&M's Anaya Smith, Penn State's Daquan Hardy, and University of Texas's Xavier Worthy selected for their speed and return capability. On top of athletic performance, player development and coaching are critical in determining whether a rookie will thrive. And Vincent's work with players isn't just about what happens on the field. Helping them plan for life after football is just as important.
I was always concerned about the challenges of transition. So I had the opportunity to play 15, a sport that we love, kids game, man's body, and you don't have the time to develop some of those skills that you would get in an internship or that you would get in a normal 9-to-5 job. So from our business entrepreneurship programs, broadcast boot camp, and now we're at a different era, like the game has evolved. Players are now being paid in high school, at the collegiate level. The accessibility to information is at their fingertips. Many more entrepreneurs, players wanting to own their own media company. So we've had to adjust what the players' interests are based off of where they are. That is something that's dear to my heart personally, is making sure that working with the Players Association, working with the clubs, that we're all in alignment with player transition. The inevitable is going to happen, and oftentimes that transition happens not by your choice. And are you ready, and do you have the skills to transition into what we say the new normal?
Football is even bigger than the game itself. The NFL adds $5 billion to the U.S. economy every year, and the 2024 Super Bowl became the most watched television program in U.S. history. Its dominance is no accident. It's the result of strategic media deals and exclusive sponsorships. Last season alone, the NFL was partnered with 48 brands, holding top deals with EA Sports, Nike, and Verizon, while generating over $11 billion from broadcasters including Peacock, Amazon, and ESPN. It's more than just a pastime, it's become a cultural phenomenon, bringing together millions of fans even when the country feels most divided. As Executive Vice President, Vincent says it's a tremendous responsibility to support the league's powerhouse operations, but also a shared one.
We're working together to try to come together to win a football game and create some excitement. And I hope, your lips to God's ears, that the game can continue to be a positive force for just people coming together, cheering for their club, cheering for their favorite players. At the same time, It's a delicate balance, a delicate integration of things that we believe that are important for the player, important for the club, that we come together to try to resolve those things together. It's not always perfect, and there is disruption that occurs. But we understand the platform that the National Football League has on the broader society.
When Vincent is not at NFL headquarters, he joins his wife Tommy right here in their home in Purcellville, Virginia, where I've been invited in. Surrounded by some of Vincent's most treasured paintings by football player turned artist Ernie Barnes, we dive into his rare but remarkable journey that took him from Trenton, New Jersey to the NFL C-suite.
This is where life happens at the table. I share with Troy that you just never know when somebody in the family needs resuscitation. But when we gather around food, food drops the defenses, and it gives us an opportunity to engage with one another outside of the four walls of this home and really see what's taking place in our lives together, as well as our children.
It really has been a place where the true conversations, the post checks, we now get into, because the kids are all now adults for the most part outside of the two twins. We get into a lot of issues and things that we see in debates that's taking place in society. Like, okay, how would you handle this, Dad? Or when they come home, this is their favorite line. Okay, Mr. EVP. Okay, Mr. Executive Vice President. What do you think about this?
Walk me through your background a little bit. Where did you grow up?
So I was born and raised in Trenton, New Jersey, by my grandparents, Julia and Jefferson Vincent, my mother, Alma. North side of town. Then as I got older, middle school, kind of high school, moved back to what we call East Trenton, the east side of town, an area called Wilbur section. Little Beirut.
Little Beirut. Explain what you mean when you say Little Beirut.
So I grew up in the 70s, 80s. When you start talking about the 80s, this is when drugs, crime was rampant. And if somebody was to ride through there, not only today, but back during those times, you got abandoned houses, you got people hanging out. If you came from Wilbur section, if you got about a Wilbur section, as we would say, you can make it anywhere in this country, anywhere in the world, if you can come from out of, if you can get through Wilbur section. We all are left with a choice. What kind of life do you want? What kind of life are you going to lead? And I just knew that education, my mom, grandparents always just stress, you got to make a choice one day of who you're going to be and what you're going to represent.
I've always wondered, young guy, right? And now money, fame, was it tough to stay focused in the NFL?
No, not at all. And I'd always approach every season as a single season. That was my last season. So whatever I obtained, I got to maintain it so that I can have a head start in life, some form of head start in life once it ended. Sport is an experience. Football is an experience. It's not a career, and it's not a destination.
Having said that, tough to retire. I've always thought about it because what you guys do, it's so unique. I mean, the job is Sunday, you go out, tens of thousands of people cheering for you. How many more millions of people watching at home? What's it like to leave that? Is there a hole there when you leave?
Oh, absolutely. And that transition is a lifetime. I'm still transitioning from the game. And most athletes, they desire the locker room. The camaraderie of the locker room is what you miss. And the sport retires you. You don't retire from the sport.
And so what is that like, that feeling?
It is.
When you know your time has come.
So what I've found to be the most challenging, one, you start moving from different places. So those are indicators. Secondly, and I was told by Reggie White and Hardy Nickerson, there was a time right in the middle of my playing experience where they said, you'll know when it's your time. And what is that? Some of the things that you love doing, you won't love doing them anymore. They're showing up every day, putting in the necessary work to be great on game day, not good, but great. But the little things that got you there, you no longer love doing it. I believe everything that I've learned in my current role were attributes and things that I learned in athletics. What you did on Sundays, Mondays, and Thursdays and how you showed up on game day was a reflection of what you did during the week. If you didn't practice, if you didn't detail your work, if you lacked in on preparation, it showed up on Sunday. It showed up on Monday night and Thursday night. So paying attention to detail, falling in love with the basics every single day following this process prepares you to have success when the lights are on. Where I began, I didn't know what a leader was. There was a parallel of on-field performance with literally what the impact you were making on decisions that were not on the field, whether they were in the community or inside the locker room, being a locker room leader around areas of the collective bargaining agreement, hours, wages, working conditions, and player rights, family rights. Now, being mature in my current role, 15 years here now at the National Football League, it's really about people and getting people to believe in what your objectives are, what your goals, and their why. Why is important for them to at least hear what you're saying and buy into moving in that same direction.